Hi everyone. This is a very different kind of meeting setup, but let's give it a go. So this is Rahul, and the topic of my presentation today is the foundational analytics before machine learning. So in this particular chat, I'm going to discuss more about what are the fundamental topics in analysis and analytics which we should tackle before we even enter into sophisticated machine learning technologies, etc. So I would like to actually start with some quick introduction about myself. So I have done my bachelor's in computer science, I've done my master's in machine learning, and I've also worked across many different firms. And whatever I'm presenting is basically a crux of whatever I've learned in all these years. So the agenda for this call, as I've decided, is that I will go into some of these topics, like what is the foundations which we need to build upon before we go into the data sciences, what are the basic analytics which we have to perform before the machine learning kind of technologies even begin. Hi, so for any questions, etc., I will try taking a look on and off in the chat. Sorry. Cool. So moving on to the next, to the first part of my presentation is that what essentially do we need to do actually, let's say we are setting up a new company and we don't have any data team. So what would be those fundamental steps which we need to build in our data journey? So the first part is the foundational pipelines. And here it means a lot to do with the transactional pipelines. It means a lot to do with setting up the initial warehouses. In this stage only, we also need to set up some of the foundational analytics databases, and some of these choices are super critical because a lot of the future technologies, a lot of the future methodologies, the analysis which we can perform are really dependent upon the choices which we make in these stages, whether we want to go for a scalable option, whether we want to go for a cloud-based option, whether we want to go for in-house database data lakes. These are all the different kind of options which really determine how the future of analytics in any company will go. In this stage also comes the fundamentals of the reporting, that what kind of basic reporting, aggregating users, revenue, those things need to be set up. So this slide actually covers if you are a new analyst, then what, or if you are setting up a new company, then what are the fundamental things you want to capture. Now, in the same bucket, I think there are some other things also which you need to establish if you're setting up a new analytics team. So, for example, the basic product tracking. And it need not be super evolved. It need not be super complex, I would say complex, but understanding what are the key moments where you would like to track the users. You also need to set up ways of working within your team, documentation, Git, how do people end up sharing codes with each other, how do people use SQL queries. And the second part is something which I have seen literally in all the companies, even in the biggest companies like Uber, where people end up writing the same query in hundreds of different ways, but each varying slightly differently, but the intention is still the same. And a lot of these problems can actually be solved by certain rigor established in the documentation process, in the Git process, etc.